Hello, my name is Haley Lyon, and today I'm going to talk to you about funds of knowledge and poverty bias in the classroom. Poverty bias has been and is very evident in our school systems. It's the dread we feel on Meet the Teacher night when a student walks in with holes in his clothes. It's the second that we lower our expectations because we just found out little Amy doesn't come home to electricity because her parents had to choose between bills and food that month. It's the moment that we make excuses for our students' work or behavior because they don't come from money. By making these assumptions, lowering our expectations, and making these excuses based on the fact that the child may not come from money, we are giving into this idea of this non-existent poverty culture, and this hurts our students more than we realize. Today I am talking to you in hopes to rid teachers of poverty bias and debunk the myth of poverty culture by encouraging you to learn and accept your students' funds of knowledge in order for you to be able to connect and understand your students and to create curriculum that would be relatable and significant to your students. On their website, the National Council of Teachers of English state that students do not enter school as empty vessels to be filled with knowledge. Rather, they bring with them rich and varied language and cultural experiences. As teachers, we are so ready to teach our students what they need to know based on the standards for their grade level that we often get caught up teaching the same lessons year after year. What we often don't remember is that no class learns the same. Rays, Eiding, and Feller argue that we often forget that our students are coming to us with historically accumulated and culturally developed bodies of knowledge and skills essential for household or individual functioning and well-being. This idea is coined as being students' funds of knowledge. So why does funds of knowledge even matter? Understanding students' funds of knowledge is essential in order to fight the poverty bias that we see in most classrooms today. The issue of poverty bias stems from myths and generalizations. Jan states that one of the most common myths is that people living in poverty think, act, speak, and dress in a certain way. However, this is just not true. Poverty is not a culture, rather it's just another circumstance that plays into one's life. Paul Gorski argues that this false idea of there being a poverty culture and the mindset that we as educators are teaching students in poverty suggests that we must fix poor people instead of eliminating the inequalities that oppress them. And this is a very real thing. I've had experiences at a low-income school where we don't have access to iPads, we don't have one-to-one computer ratios, we don't have science resources, and we don't even have basal texts. However, several schools within the same community and within the same school district have all or most of these things. What I take from this is that people born with money will receive a higher quality education and a nearly unlimited amount of resources than people who aren't born with money. Is this not an injustice to students of lower income circumstance? Why is it that educators want to fix students of low income by teaching them how to leave their situation, but refuse to look at the real problem of inequality and inopportunity within low income schools? What all of this boils down to is poverty bias and classism, and these are the cultures we need to fix. One way to fix poverty bias is by taking the time to learn about your students' funds of knowledge. If we can put our biases aside and take time to get to know and understand the students' funds of knowledge, we would all begin to see that their culture has absolutely nothing to do with their income. By developing an understanding of our students' funds of knowledge, we can stop assuming and start supporting our students with a true understanding of their culture and values. There are many strategies that you can use to gain a better understanding of your students' funds of knowledge. First, you should make sure that parents have every opportunity to be involved in their child's education. One way to do this is to be flexible with parent-teacher conference times. Allow times all throughout the day and extend opportunities to meet throughout a full week. This may be a little extra work on you, however, you will have more parental involvement, resulting in a wonderful opportunity to get to know the families of your students, and this will develop a better understanding of your students' funds of knowledge. The second strategy is to take time and get to know your students personally. This can be achieved by sharing pictures of your family, allowing students to ask personal questions about you, and being open with your students. By getting to know you better, your students will start to feel safe enough to open up to you as well. And when they do, be sure to make yourself available to listen to their stories and likes and express that you value them. Eventually, with time, you will get to know your students on a more personal level through their stories and life experiences. With this information, you are sure to gain a better understanding of your students' funds of knowledge. Now that you are aware of some of the strategies to gain students' funds of knowledge, how will you use it? One of the most important ways that you can use your students' funds of knowledge is to help you develop meaningful and effective curriculum. This year I had a student who would consistently refuse to do any work and claim that she hated everything. After weeks of trying to get to know this student, I discovered that she loved books. Therefore, the next day when she refused to do her math work, I grabbed some books and modeled a few of her addition problems with the books. She took to it immediately and started working. By learning about my student and developing an understanding that she valued books, I was able to help her value math by modeling real-life situations with books. While understanding the student's funds of knowledge helped me obtain her interest, it can also help with the understanding of a concept. Therefore, you should plan on using students' funds of knowledge by incorporating the things they love into the curriculum, as well as using resources such as KWL charts to discover what concepts or misconceptions your students are bringing from home so that you can work with your students' knowledge accordingly. To sum this vlog up, I hope you walk away having learned two main ideas. First, I hope that you have a better understanding of the importance of knowing your students' funds of knowledge. It is significant because it will help you develop curriculum that is more meaningful to your students, and it will help you expose and debunk the myth that is poverty culture. According to Sleater, one of the biggest challenges for a teacher is connecting subject matter with the students because teachers struggle with viewing students and the knowledge they bring as part of the curriculum. Our jobs would be made much simpler if our students came to us as blank slates so that we could use the same lesson plans year after year. But that is not the case. As teachers, we should be building relationships with our students, gaining an understanding of what knowledge and values they are coming to us with, and using this knowledge to create more effective lesson plans. The second idea that I hope you walk away with is that we need to expose poverty bias for what it is and debunk the non-existent poverty culture. For us as teachers, this means that it is our duty to get to know the students and not just assume that because they are of lower economic status that it affects their values and their culture. By getting to know all of our students on a more personal level and by gaining an understanding of our students' funds of knowledge, we would realize that this poverty culture does not exist, be able to break free of our poverty bias, and be able to truly help our students based on their true values and cultures. Thank you.